Welcome back to the GameSpot stage here at E3 2016. I'm Lucy, joined by Scott Butterworth, our esteemed editor from GameSpot US, and Joe Neate from Rare, who's here to show off Sea of Thieves. Welcome.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So you guys finally showed off some gameplay at Microsoft's press conference on Monday. What's the reception been like?
Literally unbelievable. And so that video that we created it's our fans that we got to visit the studio 3 weeks ago and play the game for the first time, edit together a trailer in about a week and a half, and then have it at the briefing. Because I think showing real player reactions playing our game and the fun and the joy of Sea of Thieves is what makes our game so special, and so we really wanted to share that with the world, and we're seeing it here on the show floor. And even even anyone that's cynical about that approach and going, oh, it looks like are they actors, is it canned? And then they came and play the game, and then they come back and they're like, oh yeah, I was doing that. Like, so honestly, it's been incredible. Like, we are humbled by the reception to it. Right, we're so pleased to finally be able to get this out there and to talk about it and to show people the reality of what we've been working on. So
for the past few years, Rare has been known as like the Microsoft, the Kinect studio. How long has Sea of Thieves been in production, and when did you guys kind of move away from the Kinect?
So Greg Mails, the design director, and he is a Rare veteran of 27 years, I think. He and I kind of squirreled away about 18, 20 months ago, something like that, to figure out what was next. And it was quite a challenge to kind of have a completely blank slate and do whatever you wanted, and to kind of come to that. And for the first few months, you feel really stupid because you keep making the wrong decisions, or you go down one thing and it doesn't work. And eventually we landed on this kind of shared world adventure game, groups of players going together in a shared world where there's always another sail on the horizon, and all you kind of know is that that's other players, right? That's the magic of our game, and you kind of don't know what they want, right? But yeah, so it was super cool to be empowered to kind of to actually just make anything, and also a huge amount of responsibility because you're making Rare's next big thing, right? And there's such a rich heritage, and there's such a big fan base as well that like are really keen on kind of seeing what you're going to do. And I think we've got into our game what makes Rare games special, but we're also doing something unique and different, which is what Rare has always done throughout its kind of 30 years of history. So.
It's got to be a little terrifying to know that you're inevitably going to be compared to stuff like Banjo-Kazooie and all of these franchises that people like really hold close to their hearts. So, I mean, was that something did that make it harder to get started in a way, just knowing that you were going to have to like fight against these perceptions?
It's exciting rather than frightening, I think, and we did a kind of exercise right at the start of the project about like what makes a Rare game, and there's so many different. We kind of looked through all of the history of it, and there's so many different types of games that Rare's always done, and they've always taken on different genres. They're not just like, you can't put them in a box as a single kind of type of developer. And so we did that, and we asked a bunch of the team what made it. We've made a fun little internal video kind of with everyone talking about what they thought it was. And for me it's about doing something that's different and unique and new, and so we were looking at what emerging trends there were in the industry, and for us it was these shared world kind of games where players exist in the game for hours, and it's all about the interactions with other players is what makes them so unique, because and you've also got kind of control over your roles and your goal and what you want to do. So it's the freedom of that, and then the other players you interact with means you just get these really unexpected and like emergent occurrences, and that was so fascinating to us, and we landed on that before we even picked pirates as a theme. So, and then Greg's always wanted to make a pirate game, right? And there's been hints to them throughout all of Rare's history and all the different games and stuff, and it just seemed like the perfect fit for getting a group of players together, kind of bonding them on a ship, and we want to drop players into our game and not have a convoluted tutorial or anything like this, but you naturally kind of understand what you're going to do as a pirate, right? And oh, there's a ship, and then it's like, okay, and how do I get it moving? Okay, so there's probably an anchor, right? Okay, we'll raise that and then lower the sails, and you just naturally know what to do, and then it's like, where are we going to go? Are we going to go on a treasure hunt? Are we going to go and take down some other people? Are we just going to explore? Or are we just going to fill the boat with booze and musical instruments and basically go out on the party ship, right? And you can do all of that. Right?
Pirate booze cruise.
Yeah.
That would have been better if I said that correctly the first time. You know what I meant.
Yeah. So do you meet up, is there some kind of like lobby system where you meet up with your friends, or is it you just kind of, you go searching for a game and you get plopped in with a bunch of other people?
We kind of plan all of the above, really, but it's critical for us that players with different kind of motivations and goals are going to be able to crew up together. And you know, so if someone that just wants to explore versus someone that just wants to fight, you know, you probably don't want to matchmake those guys together or put those guys together in a crew. And so, you know, the looking for group thing that was announced at the Xbox briefing was absolutely bang on for us, and because we were investigating that ourselves, like for the last year we've been talking about it and going, but this is critical, that, you know, because we know that playing with your friends is going to be great, but playing with strangers is the challenge, right? And so we've done everything we can to bond people together, and it's why drinking and instruments are in our E3 show floor, right? Because when you do this, when you get drunk together, you kind of bond, and the instruments actually, when you start playing an instrument, somebody else starts playing it, and they join together, the music sort of links up, and you're just doing fun stuff together, and it's like icebreakers in a game, and then you just start working together cooperatively, and we've seen this with so many strangers coming in, because some people's questions were like that. It's like, well, what if I don't have friends? What if I or what if I don't have any people that want to play it with me? And we're like, trust us, like you'll be bonded together. So like I said, the looking for group thing is just, you know, we will absolutely be utilising for that, because it's the perfect fit for our game, right? The platform guys approached us a few months ago and were like, hey, we're doing this, and we were like, yeah, okay, we'll take that off the backlog then, and that saves us some work, right? So yeah, super cool.
It's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
What is the kind of end game? So like you and your friends, you take over a pirate ship. Can you like add things to your ship, make it bigger, make it the biggest, baddest boat on the sea, kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So like personal customization and ship customization is absolutely a thing, both functional and visual. We know that's a big player expectation, right? And the players are going to become the kind of stars of our world, and what I mean by that is that there's no Blackbeard in our game. You know, we haven't got this legendary revered pirate in there. There's no Black Pearl ship, but what players do, the stories they tell, the videos they share, and how they show up in the game and in our community will mean that they will become the legendary pirates, right? And the legendary ships of the world. It's the players that are the stars. Right?
Will they then be sort of immortalized in the game after like huge big events and big battles and stuff afterwards?
I think absolutely, and I think as important is that they'll be immortalized in our community by our community, right? And but we've had some crazy ideas around kind of almost renaming taverns in the game as we evolve the thing based on cool things players have done. Like, so we absolutely, we just want to celebrate the players, and we want to get this into players' hands much earlier than we've ever done before, because what they do in the game, how they play is super critical for us. And so, you know, with that in mind, our next goal is to go to a beta, right? And we haven't set a date for that, because basically, whatever date I pick, it'll be wrong, right? But we're going to be much more open and transparent with our community moving forward. And notoriously, Rare has been a very secretive developer in the past. But we're flipping that on its head, because from this point on, it's like, hey, we're going to talk about what we're doing, what we're driving towards, and then as soon as we can get that kind of that core experience of adventuring with your friends and meeting those kind of key motivations that players have, you know, we'll go into that beta, and then we'll just grow and evolve and shape this experience based on how they're playing, what they're doing, and their feedback and everything else. So it's a completely new approach, but I believe, like for us at least, but I just believe that this type of game, it's the way you have to do it, right? It's not just, you can't just have a great gaming experience and sit it there and walk away. You've got to have this open and transparent communication and these regular updates to the game and everything. I think that's as important as the game itself, right?
Kind of seems like it would be perfect for the Xbox, the preview program, right? It just
so we aren't talking about any kind of business model decisions or anything because we just want to focus on the game, right? And how we want to bring it to people. And so and really, we just want to talk about our next goal, right? And so that is the beta. That's what we're driving towards. That's when the first time people can play the game, right? And that's, I think, the most important thing for players at home, right? But from a business model perspective, we have confirmed that we're not free to play, because there were a few kind of little rumours around from last year's E3, just from people just filling in gaps because there wasn't any information that we'd shared. So we just wanted to clarify that part of it at least. So
it's a full release, not free to play.
Yeah, so it's not free to play. That's like the only thing I'm kind of committing to here and now, and our beta is the thing that we're driving towards, right? So yeah.
I find it really fascinating that it's such a social game. It almost makes me think of something like Journey, where it's an experience that is made by how you're able to share it with someone else, and you're able to make it through together.
So Journey was one of the ones that we were referencing quite early on in terms of how amazing it felt just around the corner.
Yeah.
And suddenly there was someone in your world, and it was like, it felt like you were like, oh wow, you're on an adventure too, and it's like, it was just seamless. It was amazing. And so I like that game is just incredible. And the thing is, I purposefully, like when I see a game that I like, I purposefully don't read any previews or reviews or anything. So I had no idea that was a thing, and I thought it was an AI to start with, and then I was like, hold on, that's a person. It's reacting to me and stuff, and that blew my mind, right? But I think we share the same kind of goal in that we want to seamlessly have ships in your world, and so every time you're just sailing around and you'll just see you'll see a sail appear on the horizon, or you'll go up to an island and then on the other side there's another ship parked there. Like those moments, that same emotional kind of like, oh wow, those are players, and you don't really know what's going to happen with them. That's totally the same kind of spirit, I think, and like when we looked at Journey and what we wanted to bring to this. So.
Have players sort of surprised you so far in the interactions that they've had? I mean, have you been watching testers or whoever is playing the game and sort of seen them interact in ways that you didn't expect, and has that sort of reshaped some of the ways that you design stuff in the game?
Totally. It's kind of hard to think of specific examples, but yesterday on the show floor, so we've got our build, which has kind of 3 ships and a crews of 5, and so a crew got together, 4 people, and then they played with one of our designers was in there with them, and they played the entire time talking like pirates, like, for the entire time, and he was laughing so hard he was trying to record it on his phone via the microphone and stuff, but it was just like at the start of this project, when we were first kind of pitching the idea, right, to sell it, we actually had this kind of big wall we posted of just things that are possible in Sea of Thieves, because we wanted to give an idea of that it's kind of as much up to your imagination as possible, because it's just like, it's a pirate fantasy, right? Like whatever you think you can do in the world, you should just be able to go and do. And I literally put up just like dress and talk like a pirate whilst playing this game was one of the things on there, and it was kind of funny just to sort of almost see that in reality here. It's like, this is it, like this is the pirate fantasy. You can just go in and kind of live it and do what you want. Right? So
I think there's kind of like a childhood connection for a lot of people. I mean, you grow up watching, pirate adventure movies. There's a weird kind of joy. It's sort of odd given that real life pirates were horrible criminals, but I think this taps into like the fun and friendly, nice side of being a pirate, like the Swiss Family Robinson style, being stranded on a desert island kind of thing.
Absolutely right. It's not that dark and gritty and horrible thing. We wanted this to be. There needs to be a range of tone throughout the experience, right? It's not all bright blue skies and sunny islands. There's a mix, and the day and night cycle that we have in really changes the kind of the feel of the game. It's almost a relief when the kind of sun comes up over the horizon and makes it kind of a bit easier to see and not as foreboding and stuff. But yeah, we've always wanted a real range of tone across our game.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of narrative elements of any kind, or any kind of like just framing or lore in the world?
So we know that there has to be a lore to the world, right? And there has to be a history to it, and there has to be, because a lot of players love to discover this, right?
Yeah.
They love to spend their time wandering around and piecing that stuff together. But I almost see that as an activity in and of itself to try and figure it out, right? Like, we're not going to do a presentation at Comic-Con about the lore of the world and basically spoil everything, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's like we'll put it in there, we'll build it into the world and give it that charm that rare games always have. But then it'll be up to players to kind of try and piece together and get on the Wikipedia and try, and try and frame exactly what we've kind of done and why we've done it. So we feel that that's super important, but it's what players do is going to be the stories from our game. There will be quests and things and quests and stuff to undertake and everything, but it's what the players do that is the story, right? They're the stars, right? It's not some like single campaign that everybody experiences the same. Everyone should have different and unique experiences.
Yeah. So how many is a perfect sized crew?
So I guess it's kind of like what we've discovered for that big. So the ship we have in the E3 build is quite a big ship, right? And we purposefully targeted that first of all because we knew that would be the most challenging thing, is to get a bunch of people together and get them to kind of cooperate and to make life on the ship fun, right?
Yeah.
And so we target that first. We feel really good about where it's at, and that's 4 or 5 seems to be the best, like for that size ship, because once you get bigger than that, they start kind of almost just gets disruptive. They get a bit too big. It's like when you're in a big group of friends, it's kind of hard to have those conversations, right? You end up almost splitting into 2 groups, and the same thing kind of happens in the game. Whereas when you've got 4 or 5 friends around, there's 3 of us here, right? And I consider us friends now, but even though we've only just met. But it's the right size group to kind of to go on an adventure together. And you know, and the kind of the funny thing in our original kind of vision for this, our kind of game raiser, one of them was that, like, the Goonies. Basically, it's basically a group of friends going on an adventure together in a pirate world. And we even took the team. We hired out a local cinema and got some pirate-themed cocktails made, and actually took the whole team to see the Goonies kind of early on in the game's development.
I want to work with you guys.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the vision for the game, and it's kind of the vision for the team, right? It should just be a bunch of friends going on an adventure, and there'll be trouble along the way, and we'll have some challenges because game development's hard, right? But like, ultimately, that's what it should be, right? That's what games development should be.
So given that it's such a social game, I was wondering if there's going to be a way for players to communicate within the game if they don't have a headset.
Yeah, so we know that some players will either not want to talk, not feel comfortable with it, or maybe, you know, they've got a disability and they are, you know, speech impaired or hearing impaired. So we know that we have to deliver a secondary communication function. We haven't, like, specifically landed on exactly the details of that yet, but we know we'll be delivering it as part of our experience. But at the same time, we believe that voice is such a powerful tool, and, you know, there are some issues with it in terms of, in some games there's some toxicity and stuff, and quite a hard word to say. And
You did fine.
Yeah. But we believe that like, we've created this really great just cooperative experience that's like true co-op, and we're working so hard to bond people together and give them shared goals and shared rewards that we can encourage much more use of the headsets and of talking, you know, than I think people are comfortable doing or are doing at the moment. Like, we believe so strongly that it's such a great social experience. Like going to the pub, like, you don't go to the pub and not talk, right? But it's that's our vision for it, and so we want to encourage as many people that can and will to use headsets. But we know that some will not be able to, so that's fine too. Right.
That's awesome. Joe, thank you so much for joining us. No release date for the beta yet, but is there a kind of time frame we can expect the full game?
No, but like I said, we'll be very open and transparent with our community from this point onwards. So if you're interested in finding out and finding out about our development and our approach and where we're going, it's like, sign up to Sea of Thieves on Twitter, or come to our website and sign up for email updates, because, you know, those are the people that care the most. You know, the people who are going to sign up for info, the people that care the most, and those are the people we kind of want to be talking to regularly from our studio with our community team, and you'll get a good idea of where we're heading towards. You know, but like I said, I don't think there's any point in me listing a time frame or anything else, because it will just move and people will be disappointed. And you know, we don't want that, right? We just want to be truthful and open. Right? So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Guys, for more coverage from this year's E3, make sure, of course, you stay tuned to GameSpot.com.
You're watching the GameSpot stage, brought to you by Airheads Bytes.